What's up, guys?
It's Monday Miracle Monday.
Yay!
Today's episode, we're going to talk about how to know if you're ready for a relationship. What are the signs? What are the symptoms? What is the diagnostic criteria? How do you know? How does she know
he loves her? We have just become a musical in every single podcast now.
Yeah, somebody asked us this. Somebody commented on one of our episodes, and asked us, like, how do you know you're ready for a relationship? And what a great question.
Yeah, and we've got a lot to say.
We have so much to say about that. And I feel like I don't know if there's a lot of good advice out there. There probably is, but the bad advice gets pushed, I think.
And also, I think it is also, it's still like a personal thing. So there's 100%. Some stuff that works for some people and some stuff that doesn't. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we have very good advice, which, that might be biased, but well. But still, like, some things are just different for people. But
yeah, definitely. It's definitely like a case-by-case basis. Yeah. And nothing that we say is going to be like a blanket, a statement that can work for everybody. But I think that there are a lot of things to consider before entering a relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, I don't know if you ever know. Okay. Caveat. I have never been in a relationship. So take all of this with a grain of salt.
My first real relationship is the one I still am currently in now. So, yeah, if that tells you anything.
But you've been together for like 4 years.
Yeah.
So successful.
Yeah.
So if you think back to, I don't know what episode it was, and I talked about how that guy came up behind me and like covered my eyes, and I was like, get off. Like a troll.
I think about that a lot.
I thought of another story, which I think is just going to be a good segue into this. I thought about this today, and I almost told you, but I was like, I'm going to save it for the podcast.
I think that sometimes that I want to save something for the podcast,
and
but
then you forget what it is.
So I have to tell you in the moment.
So when I worked at camp, it was like within the first, I don't know, week or maybe the second week, some of the girls were talking to me, some of the like counselors. I could not think that word. Some of the counselors were talking to me, and they were like, we know somebody that likes you. And I was like, who? Not because I was interested, but because I was genuinely shocked. And also disgusted.
Of course.
And they told me who it was. And I was like, I've never even spoken a single word to that person. Like, that's so weird. And, like, that's so me, right? Like, to have that reaction.
Yeah, it is.
And then later that day, like, I walked past his, like, cabin group that were doing, I think they were doing, like, a ropes course or something. And we, like, passed each other on the sidewalk. And he said hi. He was just like, hey. I just kept my eyes on the ground. I just kept my eyes on the ground and kept walking.
Of course you did.
I was like, I am not giving any hint of anything.
Any attention. Not even a drop.
Not even
a side eye.
Not even going to be polite. Just because, you don't want to
see nothing, hear nothing.
Who are you?
Speak nothing.
Oh my gosh, I just thought about that today, and that just was so funny to me that happened. And like he never like spoke to me. Like, I mean, probably after that he was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably feel the same way.
But I made sure to never be alone with him, to never be around him. Oh my gosh, that's so Mariah. That's so Mariah.
That is the most Mariah thing ever, I think. I think that's even more Mariah than the get off me.
Yeah, it is. The get off me was like aggressive compared to regular Mariah.
That gives me Thanks Fam vibes.
Ooh, Thanks Fam was a good one. But anyways, I just thought that was so funny. I mean, it doesn't really have to do with a relationship, but that's a way to know that you're not ready for a relationship is when you just simply look at the ground.
Yeah.
What a time.
Yeah. I'm sure when I was a teenager, like, I probably would never think, like, oh, I'm not ready, whatever.
Yeah.
But thinking back to when I was a teenager, I could see all the reasons why I was not ready.
Yeah. I think that's so, like, hindsight, you know, it's 2020. But also, like, aren't you so glad that you, like, didn't ever get, like, super entangled, like,
Yeah.
in a real relationship when you were that young?
Yeah. It was really just, like, emotional, like, just, like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a best friend that's, like, you talk to every day.
Yeah.
Instead of being, like, an actual relationship where, like, you do life together and stuff.
Yeah, you, like, plan your future together. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad it was never that. And also the fact that I don't have to say, like, my ex this, my ex that.
Yeah.
Because they don't even get, like,
Get
that title.
Yeah. So true. I think, like, there are a lot of questions to ask yourself before deciding to be in a relationship. If the situation presents itself and your immediate reaction is, like, to keep your eyes on the ground, that's like a no. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's super obvious to be like, no, I'm not. Either I'm not ready for a relationship, or I'm not interested in a relationship, or I'm not interested in you.
Not interested, period.
Yeah. But I think, what are some of the things that you have considered? Did you think to yourself, am I ready for a relationship? Or was that just like, did you not really think about it?
I don't really think I thought about it.
Yeah.
Honestly. Like, because also for me, it was like, I wasn't allowed to date when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So, like, it wasn't even a thought to me of, like, whether I'm ready or not. It
Yeah.
was like,
I'm not allowed.
yeah.
Like,
and
I
then
can't.
once I was allowed, then it's like, oh, like, now this is, like, real.
Yeah.
And, like, you can't really, like, play around with that anymore because it's like, now I'm an adult and, like,
I don't have any excuses to fall back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even then, like, I don't know. I don't think I really thought about being ready or not. I think, like, obviously I had standards
Mm-hmm.
of myself and standards of who I would want to be in a relationship with. But, like, I don't think I thought about, like, the readiness at all,
Mhm.
honestly. And
Probably
then,
very few people do.
yeah. Like, even when me and my boyfriend met, I was not even, like, thinking, like, I'm ready for a relationship.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm actually, like, ready to, like, be single.
Yeah. It was,
not be single in the way that, like, not that way, but, like, just be a on my own person, like, do my own thing, like, not worry about anything, anyone, anything. And so I wasn't even thinking like that at all.
No. Yeah, I think what you said about having standards for yourself and for, like, the person that you want to be with, that's such a good starting point. Like, writing stuff down, like, actually writing stuff down in your notes app or, like, on a piece of paper of, like, the qualities that you see in yourself that you like, and, like, kind of maybe, like, even the qualities of yourself that you want to see improve.
Yeah.
And, like, then figure out what kind of qualities, like, match up with that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then that can be kind of, you can always fall back on that and, like, be like, does this match up with, like, what I think would be a good fit for me?
Yeah. That's true, because most people don't want to self-reflect or be self-aware enough to, like, have their own standards for themselves.
Yeah.
And it's just about the other person, but it's like, you have to, like, look at yourself and know what you deserve or what you don't deserve or what you want or don't want,
Mm-hmm.
because you can get really caught up in, like, feelings that you don't even look back on, like, that stuff.
Mm-hmm. I think that there, like, can be categories too of, like, what to think about. So, like, you can think about your relationship with your friends. Like, you can kind of scale it, like, rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Like, how is my relationship with my friends? Do I have healthy relationships? Do I have people that, like, tell me the truth? Do I have people that I can rely on?
Yeah.
And then you can look at, like, your family life. Like, is there anything there that you need to, like, work on or process or, you know, forgive, whatever? And then 'cause I think that it's so much more internal. It's like all about the internal work than like, oh, I have checked all these boxes of like, well, I read this book and I watched this documentary and like now I'm ready to date.
Yeah.
I read I Kiss Dating Goodbye. It's just like there's a lot more to think about and consider, I think. And then like of course you want to like consider your relationship with God and like see where you are in that and like ask yourself and like be honest with yourself about where you are in your relationship with God and why you want a relationship.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, do I want a relationship because I like am lonely?
Yeah.
Do I want a relationship because everybody else has a relationship and I feel left out? Do I want a relationship because
time's ticking?
Time's ticking, yeah. That's a good one. Do I want a relationship because like just ask yourself why and be honest. And there's not really a bad answer.
No.
But it's important for you to know.
Yeah.
Like why?
Yeah, there's a lot I wish I would have known. A lot I wish I would have paid attention to. Like, obviously I'm in a relationship now and everything, and it's that relationship that like I always waited for, I always wanted, whatever. But I still think that I could have been more ready when I was 22 whenever I met him. I feel like I was in a different state in life than like a regular 22-year-old. Like a lot of other 22-year-olds would be maybe like graduating college or whatever. And I was still kind of like in the first years of like adulthood that some people experience at 18.
Yeah.
And so I think there was just a lot of immaturity still. And with it being the first like official like real relationship, there's a lot of things that you have to learn that you like if you're not used to being in a relationship, some things that may seem okay to you.
Yeah.
Is like when you're in a real relationship, then you have to start cutting back on certain things or like changing certain things or like having higher standards even and more boundaries and everything. So there's a lot I wish I would have known then that I know now that shows that I technically wasn't ready then, you know?
Yeah.
But it worked out. Like, so that just shows that, you know, it can still work out if you're not ready. But if you know that you're not ready, you shouldn't probably, you know, be doing it because I didn't know. It was just like, it just kind of happened, you know?
Yeah.
And I just think that the beginning would have been a lot better if I had known what I know now and like was actually ready. Because, there's just so much to learn and so much to know about yourself and so much to know about your relationship with God and everything. And if you don't know all of those things, then it's easy to get lost in a relationship and in that person. And that's not like my experience necessarily, but I do see how easy it can be to like lose yourself in a relationship if you don't already know God for yourself, don't know yourself for yourself. And like, I think it's important to have time to yourself. Like, I obviously had those like situation things, like whatever, but I was still very much myself and I still knew myself and I still had a lot of time alone, a lot of time to figure stuff out. And so I think it's important that if you are like young, to use that time to really get to know yourself and to know God and to know who you want to be, what you want to be. Because if you don't decide that at a young age, then your relationship is going to decide it for you.
That's real.
Yeah.
That is real. Like, we have said this so many times on this podcast, but I'm going to say it again. Your brain is not fully developed when you are a teenager. Your brain is not fully developed until you are 22 years old. 23.
25.
25. I don't know why I was thinking about 22, but
because I said 22.
You're so right. It is 25. Your brain is not fully developed until you're 25 years old. Even longer if you have ADHD. But that's not to say that like you can't make any decisions before you're 25. But there are some decisions that you make like as a teenager or in your early 20s that your like older self is gonna look back on and be like, girl, we did not have all the information,
but we thought we did.
And I think like being intentional with learning about who you are and what you want in life, what you want out of life, and becoming like your own friend. That sounds so like dumb, but like it's real.
Yeah.
I wish I had done that earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Even though like, and the thing is like, this advice doesn't even have to do with like being in a relationship. It's just about living in your own skin, your own body. Like, I'm doing a little like Bible study with some teen girls. You know who you are. And it's about identity. And there's a quote in the one of the very first pages that really jumped out at me, and it said something like, you are the person who influences yourself the most because you spend the most time with yourself. And like, that's crazy to think about. Like, we talk to ourselves more than anybody else. Like, we are with ourselves more than anybody else. So you want to like capitalize on that and like understand who you are. And I think that we have done a disservice to people in the church for a long time, saying like, oh, self-discovery is so like anti-biblical, and like, you know, you just have to know what God says about you, and you have to know like who God is, and it doesn't matter who you are because it matters who God is. Like, and everything you need to know about yourself is found in the Bible. And that's true to a certain extent. Like, you need to know that you're a child of God. You need to know that you're bought and redeemed by the blood of Christ, and you need to know that like he values you, and you need to like have that assurance.
Yeah.
But you also need to know the things that you like. Like, God made you an individual. He gave you desires and like a personality.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have to like learn what that is in order to have functioning relationships with anybody else.
Yeah. And just like to like be able to walk in God's will as well.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the path that you choose, even your ministry, it could all have to do with your personality.
Yeah.
If you want to be a speaker,
yeah,
you probably have to be some level of like extroverted for that.
Yeah.
If you want to go out and like be a street preacher, not like the crazy ones, but in general, like
Preston.
yeah. There's a certain personality and certain things. Like, God made us all different for a reason. So we can have different
giftings,
different jobs, different everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we all wanted to do the same thing, acted the same way, we wouldn't have a functioning world the way we do.
Right.
If nobody chose to work in retail, all the retail stores would close.
Yeah.
If nobody chose to work in food service, we would all have to start cooking at home.
Yeah.
And like, so there's different ways for it all.
I think you can even see that in scripture with like the people that God calls to like fulfill a specific purpose.
Yeah.
Even like the disciples, they all had like different personalities and different, like, there were different reasons that Jesus called each of them. And it's such a bummer that we have reduced our own selves down to like, oh, don't get to know yourself. Like,
I am who God says I am.
Yeah. Which is true.
Yes.
It's true, but that's not all. It's like a yes and situation. So I think that's my biggest piece of advice, to know like if you're ready to date, like, is how well do you know yourself? Like, how much time have you spent with yourself and really gotten to know yourself? Can you like think of any other ways to know like if you're ready for a relationship? I guess like asking the people around you, if you have people you can trust. Because honestly, if people ask me, like if we were to have a sit down conversation and be like, do you think I'm ready for a relationship? I will tell you the truth. Like, in a really nice way. Yeah. If it's a no, it's a really nice way. If it's a yes, obviously that's like great. But
I think it's a good thing to be honest with someone, because you can really set them up for failure if you just like tell them what they want to hear.
Yeah. And sometimes like the answer is no, and that's okay. That's okay. What would you tell somebody if you were like, I don't think you're ready for a relationship right now? Like, what would you say? I mean, I guess it's a case by case basis, but like, what advice would you give them? It's hard because all of it, like all of my stuff, like comes back to, well, self-reflect.
Spend time with yourself.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So if I wanted to tell somebody like, no, I don't think you're ready for a relationship, it would probably first come to like just how they already act around like the opposite sex.
That's
like,
good.
If they are already like craving attention over everyone else in the room. Like if they change the way they do things to impress somebody, or they change the way they talk, they speak differently, they act differently in front of people, that would be one of the biggest things. It's like you're not ready for a relationship, because if you're already like living to like impress the people around you, or like impress the opposite sex by just like feeding into whatever it is they like, and just like becoming all of that, it's okay to have like to like gain interest once you talk to someone, but it's different when you completely put on like a whole persona just so that someone will like you.
And that's like take interest in you.
That's immature, because I know I was like that in some ways when I was younger too. So that would definitely like, be the main thing,
because it's inauthentic. Like if you can't be an authentic person, then like what, I mean, that's just not sustainable.
No, it's
just because they're gonna end up
seeing the real you.
Exactly.
And you do not want someone to fall for you for someone that you're not. Exactly. Because it's just going to hurt you in the end, because they're going to be like, you're not who I thought you were. And it's also like, I'm sure like whoever you are, whoever I would be talking to, are amazing in yourself, and like have an amazing personality, and are unique in your own ways, and have your own gifts and your own abilities and your own quirks and everything. You do not have to try to be somebody else. Like, and if someone really actually genuinely likes you for you, that'll just be way better. So you won't have to put on a front. You won't have to put on an act. You won't have to be Googling information about whatever thing they're into. Maybe it's like
March
a car.
Madness.
Oh gosh. Yeah. But if you can't even like be yourself around the opposite sex, around other people, then that's already like, you're not ready for a relationship. Sorry.
That's good.
And I think another thing would be, how okay are you with being alone?
Ooh.
Like, no one wants to feel lonely.
Right.
That's just how it is. So very lonely. But being alone and being lonely are two different things.
Yes.
And I really had to learn that recently, in the past couple years.
Yeah.
And sometimes alone doesn't maybe even mean like living by yourself, or like doing everything by yourself. But also you need to self-reflect again and think like, am I actually like independent at all? Like, can I do things on my own? Do I have my own hobbies that I like, or do I just like follow suit with like
my
everything
friends
else?
In the group.
Yeah. And just to like really dive into who you are.
Yeah.
Because if you aren't already independent before you get in a relationship, you will become codependent so fast.
Yeah, that's so true. And like that goes back to what you said earlier about like losing yourself in the relationship. Like if you like don't know who you are before you get into a relationship, and you don't have your own like dreams and goals and ambitions and whatever, like you're gonna just end up forming to whatever that other person wants to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes that works out. Sometimes that works out.
Yeah.
And sometimes the other person can like push you to like figure things out.
Yeah, that's true.
But you have to be like open and willing to accept that from somebody. And also like there will be an element of growth in every relationship. So like this happens in friendships too. Like when you start like spending a lot of time with somebody, like what you said, like you're gonna just naturally like know things and like become interested in the things that they're interested in. But you have to know the difference between that and like making it your identity.
Yeah.
And like making that person and that relationship your identity. You have to be able to like stand alone.
Yeah.
And you have to ask yourself like, okay, if I lose this person for whatever reason, what would my life look like? How much would my life change?
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Like completely mentally just like separate yourself from them, and then what are your hobbies then?
Yeah.
What are you going to do the day after? Yeah. Like who are you going to be? Are you going to still be the same person? You're just going to be single?
Yeah. I think another reason like that it's so important to know yourself and what you want and have those like reflections is because like what you were saying, like you don't want to mesh with somebody else. You don't want to like take on the other person's like desires.
Yeah.
Because that can lead to resentment. Like if somebody gets into a relationship and they really, really, really want kids, and then the person that they're with doesn't want kids, and you're like, okay, well, that's okay. I really love this person, so I guess I just won't have kids. Like, that's a big deal. And later on down the road, there's going to be a lot of resentment on both sides because either you'll end up having kids and the person that doesn't want kids will be mad, or you won't have kids and then you'll be like wanting kids. Like, there's just, and that's a really big example. But that kind of stuff is important to know about yourself. And that's why it's so important to make those lists and determine like what's important to you. And like on a scale of 1 to 10, like if somebody came into your life and you were like head over heels in love with them, what would be your deal breakers?
Yeah. And it's okay to not settle.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's okay if you have a long list of things and someone might meet half of them but not all of them. Big deal. You'll find somebody that does. I'm telling you, I literally had, for years, I had a list of like my standards, and like some things were like kind of funny.
Yeah.
Not even like, oh, they don't have to be like that, but like they were just kind of like funny ones to add. And after meeting Gary, my boyfriend, I went through that list. And I was like, why does he check every single one of those, even the funny ones? Like, it was crazy to me because it was like I already knew the day like that I met him, we talked and everything. I already knew. But then like the fact that he like, it was like check. It's not like I was going through that list while talking to him thinking like, let's see if he meets this standard.
Like, you've got a clipboard. Okay, can you answer true or false?
Which honestly, that would be valid. If you want to bring a clipboard to your next date, go ahead. But
have them fill out a Google Sheets like form.
Honestly, kind of genius, especially like because you should have high standards. You really
feels
should.
Like something I would do if I dated people.
You would. But yeah, and it was just like crazy to me when I went back and looked at that, and it was like, wow, like literally checked off the whole entire thing, even the funny ones. So it's okay if you want to make a list and you want to add some stuff just because it's funny or because you like it would be cool, but it's not necessary. And you never know, like God can surprise you.
Yeah, I think that's such an essential part too, is like you can make your list and like you don't want to skip over the step of like bringing it to God and being like, you know, asking him, is there anything that I missed, or is there anything that is on here that is like be serious? Because he wants you to do that, and he wants to give you good gifts. He's a good father, and he wants to like give you the desires of your heart. And so
like some people are afraid to like want someone that's like attractive,
right?
But it's like God is okay with you saying that, because like God wants you to be attracted to your partner. I know people say sometimes like, well, what if they have all this stuff but then like I'm just not attracted to them? And it's like, well, then it's fine to say, okay, that's not for me then. Because you like, and if not, you just be lying to yourself and lying to them, and that's
comes the resentment.
That's not right. Like, you shouldn't go into a relationship because of looks,
right?
But you also shouldn't go into a relationship and disregard that you aren't attracted to them, because that's just a terrible decision.
And I think like attraction can grow. And so I would say it's important to not disregard it at first, because it's superficial to be like, oh no, I would never date that person because
and not even like
give him a chance. But like if you give him a chance and you're still just like, I'm just not feeling it, like that's okay.
Like you do not have to settle, and you shouldn't. But do you have any other advice?
I don't think so. I think really like it really boils down to like having those times of reflection, making sure that you have people around you that will tell you the truth, evaluating your relationship with God, and like check, like also like just bring it to him as well, and just like ask him for wisdom and guidance, and sometimes he provides that through the people around you.
Yeah, that's true.
And sometimes like he can reveal it to you through scripture. And I think it's important to, like, I think those are like 3 of the biggest: know yourself, know the people around you and make sure they know you, and know God.
Yeah. I think there's no other way around it.
Yeah.
And I think the best way to know is if you are not doing it at all for any selfish gain.
Wow.
Instead of being like, what can this person do for me?
Yeah.
Think of like, what can you do for this person? And I don't mean in the sense of like
enabling.
Yeah.
Like,
when you go into a relationship, it's supposed to be about like selflessness.
mm-hmm.
And so if you're automatically like, well, maybe they can do this for me, or maybe they can fill this hole, maybe they can like whatever, and you're already going into relationship with like basically like a
band-aid.
Yes,
to
a
put
band-aid
over all your problems.
Yeah. Well, honestly, a lot of people do that. We've all done that in some way. And I think that's how you go into something with like selfish gain. And that's just wrong. Only God can fix what's broken.
I think that there's like a big lie in our culture of like my other half, you know, like, and you want to be a whole person.
Yep.
Like you want to be a whole person before you're like involved with anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously nobody's going to be perfect at that. We're all human beings. We're all going to have some sort of selfish ambition going into anything. But if you have like an awareness and a control over that, yeah, I don't know. Nobody's ever going to be perfect. Nobody's ever like.
I think it's not fair to go into a relationship like that though. Like,
absolutely.
Oh, I'm broken and I need you to fix me, and you're my other half, and like together we make a whole.
Yeah.
And
and that's where codependency comes in.
Yes. Codependency is so bad.
Yeah.
And it's like a slow like killer you don't even realize is happening.
Yeah.
And that's again why you need to know that you are ready, and why you need to be independent, and now you need to know yourself. And that's why a lot of people say, I lost myself after we divorced, after we got out of a relationship, whatever. Overall, I think that is the main things. Like you said, just knowing yourself and knowing God.
Yeah.
And
having like a good circle. Around you, good people around you.
Yeah, people who tell you the truth. I think that is all you need. Yeah. And that makes you ready for everything. Not just relationships, friendships, life. Yeah.
That's such a good point.
There's nothing more to it.
Yeah. And like, that's actually such a good point, because for me as a person that has never been in a relationship, those things have still been beneficial to me.
Yeah.
Like the self-reflection and like having a good circle around me and having a deep relationship with God. Like those are all practical things to do whether or not you're in a relationship, whether or not you're looking for a relationship.
Yeah.
So that's just like good advice overall.
Exactly, because you can't have any relationship.
Right.
Anything like friendship, family, anything, if you are never able to be self-aware enough to admit that you're wrong, to like know that maybe in this situation I could have done this differently, or I could have said this differently. But if you're always pointing fingers at other people, you'll never be able to have close friendships. You'll never be able to forgive your family.
You'll always be the victim.
Yeah. That is not a good place to be.
So, what was your Monday miracle of the week?
The other day, me and you, we went for a ride to a lake. And we never heard of this lake. We didn't know like what to expect. And it ended up being just perfect. It was perfect
so
outside.
Cool. And it was so close.
Yeah, it was very close. And we went for a hike. And it was just like all new scenery that neither of us have seen before. Yeah. And there's just like a bunch of other people out there chilling. Like they know about this place. And for us, it's like the first time.
Yeah, we like entered a different world.
It was. And it was just, it was so fun.
It was so peaceful.
It was.
Yeah, that was a good day.
Yeah. And then after that, we left there. We just went for more of a drive, just kind of like going wherever. Didn't really have like a destination.
With the top down.
Yeah, with the top down, of course. And we didn't have a destination. It was just kind of like driving. And then
we drove through some rich neighborhoods for fun.
Yeah. Gotta always do that. We went past this Mexican restaurant, and Mariah has been telling me about it for like months, and she's like, that's that place I always tell you about. Mind you, we have no plans to eat at a restaurant, nothing. We were going to go home and cook. And then, so we passed this place, and she's like, that's the place I've been telling you about. And I was like, you want to go? She said, yep. And I just did a U-turn. I pulled in a parking lot, turned around, and we ended up there, and we ate. And
we ate good.
It was just so fun. It was just like spontaneous. Everything about that day was just like spontaneous stuff that wasn't really planned. It was just kind of like get in the car and go and see what happens.
Yeah.
And it was like so fun.
It was so fun. And like when we were passing it and I pointed it out, I wasn't thinking, oh, I really want to eat there. I'm going to point it out to her to see if she wants to eat there. I was just like, there it is. Yeah. That's what I tell you about. And then when you're like, do you want to eat there? I was like, yeah, actually, I do.
Just turned around. There was no thoughts. Just go.
No thoughts, just burritos. Literally. It was so good, too.
Yeah. What was your mundane miracle of the week?
Well, I have a couple. But the main show, the headliner, is that I'm alive.
Yeah.
I'm alive. I survived a near-death experience. I was hospitalized 1 week ago today. Yeah. That sounds so dramatic, hospitalized.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I had a really crazy, scary episode.
Health issue.
Health issue. And I passed out, and it landed me in the hospital. But thankfully, Jelka came home at just the right time and took me to the hospital. And here I am to tell the tale.
Still don't know what's wrong, though.
Still no diagnosis.
But
some suspicions.
But the nurse practitioner told you what?
I had a really bad headache, and they gave me some like pain medicine in my IV. And when my drip was done, the nurse practitioner came in and he was like, how are you feeling? And I said the same. And he was like, that didn't help your head? And I was like, no. And he was like, huh, I'll be damned. Well, you can just take some Tylenol when you get home.
Like, wow, I feel so helped right now. You really healed me there.
Yeah. Don't go to the ER for anything unless you have a severed limb. That's what I learned. Because even when we were in there, some little kid came in with a visibly broken leg. And they were just like, oh, you can wait over there.
Yeah, like, how much pain are you on a scale of 1 to 10?
He said 8.5. Oh my gosh, that was so cute.
And they're just like, okay. Like, they don't treat it concern. Like the way you think when you're younger, that like you're just rushed in the hospital, rushed into the room. Mm-hmm. No, it's not like that.
Grey's Anatomy is not real.
I was in a car accident and literally was just sitting in the waiting room with, I don't know what the thing, they put this like thing on my neck to like hold my head, my like neck straight. Mm-hmm.
That would be so embarrassing.
It was. And like, so I couldn't really like move, and I had to wear a mask because this was back in like 2020, I think. Yeah, I had to wait for hours. Like, they just did a couple checkups, and then I'd have to go wait, and then they did a couple more, then I'd have to wait, and then I did like an MRI thing. Like, I had to go in the machine with my head and everything.
Yeah.
But
why
it was
didn't they
hours.
do that to me?
Yeah, they should have. Yeah, they really don't care.
No, they thought I was just a druggie.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's exciting that I'm alive. And also, I sold some records this week and made a lot of money.
A lot of profit.
So that was another Monday miracle, because I've been putting it off just because, like, it's such a pain to list things. But wow, what a payoff.
It's rewarding. That just shows that through the bad, there can still be so much good.
Yeah, because literally it was Friday when I passed out and went to the hospital. And then Wednesday was like the best day of our lives when we went hiking.
So far, you've gotten a little better. So hopefully you just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, I have to sleep a lot.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
But at least you're not passing out.
You're so right. Bright side.
There's always a bright side. But yeah. Thanks for listening, guys.
See you next week.
Peace.